Yeah, I realize that as I get older, but we'll jump into this interview on the line here from Portland, Oregon. We have none other than Billy Jack Haynes checking in with us again. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, Hannibal, it's always great to talk to you. I consider you the greatest talent in professional wrestling. Just wish you would have got your break. Still not too late, but man, we really missed it on you. You had all the talent, all of it.
Well, I'm better off as an interviewer, anyways. Last time we were talking to you, you were saying you were going to think of all the dressing room fights that you had and list them off for us. Did you end up doing that?
This is something that I'm not proud of, and just stuff that does happen. You got to stand up for yourself sometimes. That's what I did. It's been a big part of my life, but now that I'm almost 70 years old, I really don't look to fighting at all. I just want to get along with everybody now, and very lucky to be alive. But yeah, I got in quite a few done groups in the locker room. As I recall, I don't remember starting any of them. Kind of happened.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people like to pick on or test the toughest guys for some reason. It happened with Haku a lot too, and he was one of the guys you didn't want to mess with either.
Yeah, I knew it had to real well, and I remember he was going to fight with Jesse Barr when I was in the WWF. I think that he ended up pulling Jesse's eye out, if I'm not mistaken. And after it was all said and done, and I think it happened in the bar, and I missed it. But I know Haku is one of the toughest men around in the professional wrestling world. But I know afterwards I talked to him a little bit about it, and he was very emotional, very sad that it happened. In fact, I he even cried about it because New Year's are cool in wrestling. After it's all said and done, Hannibal, you wish it didn't happen. You wish you didn't hurt the other guy, or you wish you didn't get hurt. There's a big love in pro wrestling. There's a real camaraderie between the boys. And, I don't think they saw me that way. I was doing other business, and it just got in the way of me being close to the boys. I look back and I wish I would have been much closer.
You also had a little skirmish with Barry Windham. What was all that about, anyways?
Uh, see, Barry, that was in '84 in Florida, Florida Championship Wrestling, and his father and I were very close, Blackjack Mulligan. And Barry, for some reason, I don't know if it was a jealousy of the business, but when I got down there, Eddie Graham really pushed me hard. And already down there was Dusty Rhodes and Barry Windham. He was Dusty was number one, and I believe Barry was number two. And he just kept messing with my equipment. And when I came back from my match, my hat was in the toilet. A bit of that had and cost $300, and there was crap in the toilet. And put my hat in there, and there was some kind of a note on there that said Billy Jack after he gets his hippie out of him, and there was shit on my hat. And I asked who did it. And I think Barry Windham said he did, and I said, "You think that's funny?" One thing led to another, and I told him go ahead and throw it, because if you don't, I'm going to. And he wouldn't throw it, so I did. And it was a pretty vicious beatdown. I think Black Bart explained it pretty good on your one of your podcasts or one of your interviews. But Black Cat Mulligan, I had asked him before. I said, "Your son keeps fucking with me. I'm gonna have a problem." And he goes, "He's a grown man, so if you have a problem, I don't have a problem with it." So after it was all said and done, Black Cat Mulligan walked in and seen what was going on and just turned around like he didn't care. And like I said, it was pretty brutal, but you can't keep screwing with a guy. And that's what some guys did with me. And I had to come and set that in stone that I wasn't going to be fucked with,
Yeah.
You have to do that. You know that being a promoter, Hannibal. Guys who tried you, I know they had to. And they found out real quick that you're nobody to be messed with.
They more try and rough me up in the ring a little bit. So I just dealt with it in the ring. I never really, not that I can recall anyways, got into any dressing room confrontations other than perhaps arguments. It never went anywhere. But,
you always took care of your problems in the ring.
There's a fan on here that says your match with Hercules at WrestleMania 3 looked painful. Was he stiffing you with the chain at all? They want to know.
Yeah, you're probably hearing people by. I'm outside of my home right now in Portland, Oregon. Hercules, one of my best friends in the business, and before the match, it was WrestleMania 3, and there was like 97,000 people, and we were working an angle with the chain, and we had chain matches for approximately 5-6 months afterwards, and we made a lot of money. So we were going to be on TV, national TV pay-per-view, all that. So we knew the finish was going to be, I was going to be left laying in the ring to keep the angle going. And I told him that Bobby Heenan was just absolutely spot on. With everything. He queued everything up perfectly, Bobby did. And I'm so sad that he passed away. He was one of the greatest talents in pro wrestling history as a manager. And so when he gave the cue for me to turn around, you'll see that in the locker room, for reason I knew he was going to lay it in, he had to. So he hit me the first time, and it was kind of a glancing blow. And then I went down, and he hit me again, and he kind of glanced a little bit again. So when I was down, somewhere during it, I told Bobby, or I told her, I forgot, to be honest with you, to lay it in, man. And boy, he laid it in. And the last one, when I went down, I was honestly completely out for about 10 seconds. And really, he laid it in, and I was very proud of him. And back in the locker room, we shook hands, hugged, everything. And that's the business. You got to be stiff, especially with the TV camera on your eyeball. You know that.
Oh, for sure. Why do you think Hercules passed away so young?
I think it was due. A lot of the guys that passed away young, it was due to drug addiction. And believe me, I'm not trying to put anybody down here, because I'm a 29-year addict too myself. And I put my back against Harley Race in 1987, I think it was January. And this had in-house doctors like Zahorian and 3 or 4 more. So when we were hurting, we were wrestling with broken fingers, and in some cases broken or fractured ACL tears. And we were like walking zombies, wrestling 7 days a week, 5 days in the airport. And we didn't know if we were coming or going. So when we got to the hotel, it was like Roddy and I we lived 30 miles apart in Oregon. And we would have the drugs waiting for us at the hotel. So there'd be a lineup of 8 to 10 guys checking in, but really waiting for the pack sent from Dr. Zahorian and other doctors. There were Percocets, Xanax, Vicodin, you name it. Vince let us do any drug we wanted to, but we had no union and we couldn't take any time off. And that's why I think the guys got addicted and eventually overdosed accidentally. And, that's just part of the game with no union you have to go through. You think they let Brett Favre play an NFL game with the union? He broke his shoulder or something.
Yeah.
2-3 months on. We don't get a day off, or you're fired pretty much. It's your whole program.
Right. Yeah, because it was sometimes 9 shows a week back then too, wasn't it? 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday.
Yeah, I forgot about that, Hannibal. There's we were going there for a while where I'll give you an example. 7 days a week. If we were in LA, we'd have sometimes like an afternoon card in LA, and then we fly by Learjet to Chicago for a night show. Get up and fly on to, I think it was maybe somewhere in New York, and have an afternoon show on a Sunday, and then fly out like to Montreal and have a night show. That went on for about a month, and I think the guys, Vince saw for himself that men couldn't take it anymore, and the women. It was just too much.
Right.
He stopped that.
I see. Now, of course, you were in a famous commercial for a sun tanning place. Do you remember doing that commercial? There's a fan on here asking. I think it was called Tan Down Under.
Yeah, that brings back some memories. Yeah, that was, I believe, after I retired in pro wrestling. I retired in '95 for USWA, and my last matches were against, I recall anyway, but you can see, I just saw it the other day. It was on Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Super Bowl of Wrestling. I wrestled Brad Armstrong, who became a very close friend of mine. And, he reminds me a lot of you because he has the greatest talent that I've ever seen. A guy who never got pushed in the WWF or WCW. The Armstrong family was full of talent, and just full of talent. But Brad, I believe, was the best. He never got pushed. Going back to the commercial, that was Tan Down Under around year 2000, 1999, something like that. And I was their spokesman for a little while, maybe a month or two. Guy took care of me real well, and I was tanning back then. Right now, I'm Indian. I'm pretty white. I was a ghost right now.
Yeah, I don't tan anymore either. I got a couple skin cancer patches that I had to get removed, so it's not worth it to tan. I just use the fake tan if I have to these days.
Yeah, you're talking about put on the turns brown.
Yeah. Someone's asking on here memories of working with Macho Man and the Honky Tonk Man.
Well, there's talent in the World Wrestling Federation, and I don't say World Wrestling Entertainment because I wasn't a part of it. Not that it's any worse than the WWF was. I'm just saying that I was in the WWF from '86 through '88, and first with Randy Macho Man Savage, he was just, to me, had the most charisma in the WWF of anybody. Hulk Hogan had a lot of charisma, but he couldn't work. Randy could work. He could do everything. Then you had Miss Elizabeth as a perfect manager. And working with Randy was so easy. Called everything perfect. Made sense in the match. And we were headed to WrestleMania III at one time. And I don't know what happened. I think Ricky Steamboat went in and complained to Vince that he wanted to wrestle Randy because we were doing all kinds of angles for about 6 weeks. And so they ended up putting Steamboat against Randy in WrestleMania III and me against Hercules. But it came out okay. Everything was fine. I was happy with that. The Red had the best talent. Honky Tonk Man, the same. I have never seen a guy get more prepared for a match than Honky Tonk Man. He had to play a gimmick. It was like Elvis Presley. And any wrestler will tell you, you got to live your gimmick inside the ring to let it go outside the ring.
Yeah.
He did that. He was a perfectionist in the ring and inside. He was just an absolute great wrestler and a great friend of mine. Speak the world of Ken Ramsey.
Sean wants to know, what do you think about CM Punk? Have you seen much of him?
You know, Hannibal, I have not. I've heard the name, of course, but I just really haven't been following wrestling. And I know he has to be awful good to land the job he did and get the push that he did. But other than that, I know very little about CM Punk.
He seems to get injured a lot. He only wrestles like a match or two, and he's got an injury. Seems to be continuous for him, but he's making a lot of money, and these days they pay you even if they're injured. You're injured, so good for him, I guess.
Well, I wish they paid us when we were injured.
Scott wants to know, did you ever want to be WWF champion while you were in the company?
You know, I added everything up. I think, it's all a work anyway, Hannibal. It's going to be who Vince wants to put up there. And then 84 was my year. I don't know how many covers I was on, but in Japan and the United States. But I was doing other business. And, we didn't appear a lot. And that's why I went from territory to territory. And of course, I wasn't going to explain what I was doing to anybody. But I think anybody would want to be champion. But to me, it was a work, so there really wasn't a big appeal to me about it. So if it happened, it happened. But I had a lot of championships, all worked, of course, but no, not really. I think they needed Hulk Hogan in there. He's the one that made the business in the WWF happen. And even though he couldn't really work, he had so much charisma that he wanted to be on a Hulk Hogan card because he sold out everywhere.
Yeah, those were the days when they would actually sell out arenas, which is a rare thing these days. Unless it's a big show. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I read that they've sold out a house show.
Yeah, I hadn't been following it. All I know, back in the era I was in the WWF, and it was partial 84, and then 86, 87 was a full year, and 88 was just the beginning, and that was it for me. But yeah, there was sellout after sellout after sellout. You had the A, B, C, and D cards. You had 4 shows a night. I think it actually was 3, but sometimes they'd have 4. And of course, you wanted to land on the Hulk Hogan show, because you get paid a lot more money. But if you main evented with D cards, which I did a lot with, like Randy and Paul Orndorff, you made a lot of money. I averaged between 10 and 15,000 a week, which is really, really good money. But when you're injured so often, not home hard enough, it's hard on a marriage, Hannibal. Hard on everything.
Yeah, the wrestling lifestyle is hard on marriages for sure. I can agree with that.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever? Someone's asking if you ever met Earthquake, aka John Tenta. I know he was from the Vancouver. I don't know if he ever wrestled for Don Owens or not, though.
I don't believe I did. Now, the other big guy he was tagged up with, Fred Ottman.
Yeah.
He absolutely was just a, he could crush you if he wanted to. But I found him to be one of the most biggest gentle giants I've ever met. And I wrestled him probably about 5 times. And I was glad to see Fred make it big and make some big money. And I know he did well with his money. It was Earthquake, and I don't know what next. He was Typhoon, I think.
Yeah. Typhoon and Tugboat.
And right.
And I believe he was the Shockmaster in WCW as well. And I think he was Dusty Rhodes' brother-in-law or something.
Good for him. That's one guy that I was really going for after I retired.
Yeah. Someone's asking if you ever witnessed any racism in wrestling. Obviously, you probably were never the victim of it, but you were around during a period where there was more racism than there is today.
Well, I think myself personally and with Vince, for sure, was racist. There was Rocky Johnson and tag team championship. Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas, I believe, were tag team champions for a short while. And the boys himself were not. I never seen any racism from the boys, but definitely Vince had a problem with racism. But like Hacksaw Butch Reed, they never brought racism. I mean, it's just it's a big word, and I wish people would use it as often as they do, because I think it's improved quite a bit myself. I mean, I'm 8th or 16th Modoc Indian, and I never complain about racism. I just wish people would get around that. You've got a black president, and you can't get any higher up than that. So, but yes, unfortunately, McMahon himself was definitely, I can tell you, the wrestler, I'll tell you, he was a racist.
Interesting. Bill Gray wants to know who was your best ever tag team partner?
When I broke in Portland, Stan the Man Stasiak, who was a former WWF World Champion, that was for Vince Sr. back in I think it was the early 70s, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But Stan kind of took me under his wing. Without his help, I don't think I would have made it pro wrestling. He died in 1997, and unfortunately, I didn't even know he passed away. I was in the U-Team working at the time. I found out about it about 2 weeks after he passed away, and I kicked myself in the ass for that, because I would have been there with his family. That was, let me tell you something, that boy. He was a great man, great champion, hard, big gold. Love that man. He used to come over and help my father with wine. He was on diabetes, cut off his foot. So I was taking care of him, trying to wrestle and also do some other stupid stuff. And Stan would have to come over, as would Rip Oliver, check in on my father. That's really good people that do that. So outside of the ring, Stan Stasiak and Rip Oliver really helped me out a great deal. Love and miss him very much.
Scott wants to know what made you turn heel in Portland back in 1990.
I just, I think I could just, I won't say really what the real reason is. I can't. But I just lost quite a bit of money. 7 money. I was just, no one wanted me to. I just really want to. But the more I thought about it, Roddy Piper had worked this angle out. I thought the world of Roddy, and I just went ahead and did it. I really enjoyed it. I really did. I didn't know it was this good. So being a babyface for like 8-9 years and turning heel was one of the best moves I think I ever made. I could get rid of some anger.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad you couldn't have feuded with Hulk Hogan as Black Blood, because there was some potential when you were Black Blood.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I heard Kevin Sullivan talking on one of your interviews, and Kevin was in the ring when I blew my right ACL out, and I heard him talking to you like I really didn't get hurt. You're taking. I was weighing close to 300 pounds at that time, but 285. Coming off the top rope, you're landing on your knee. I was 38, I believe, at the time. I'd already had knee surgery. My knee pad started swelling up with hot water. I think you probably know how that feels. It ripped something. But I think Kevin thought that I was either taking it or it was. But there's no way. I was getting ready to sign a huge contract with Ted Turner. It was 3 years for $2.3 million. Back then, that was a lot of money, and Ted was paying he's paying those contracts out. And I just thought that probably just something to say. You get injured in the ring. I just wish that Black Blood would have been able to beat Blood in you, Blood Hunter.
Yeah, that would have been a good tag team, actually.
Yeah, it's too bad we can't do it. Unfortunately, age catches up with me. But I love that gimmick on you. Play it to the best.
It was a good gimmick, but unfortunately, too intense for today's times.
Yeah, you're really intense with that.
Yeah, and that character is not made for today's times. They don't want realistic characters, but I've given up on wrestling these days. I'm moving on to other stuff. Someone's asking, what exercises did you do to get your quads so huge?
My quads, I did a lot of. When I worked in Hannibal, was I worked biceps. I would do like squats, 12 reps. Like they're not real heavy, but like 315. I do 12 reps. I immediately go over to the leg extension, 12 reps, and then I go over to the leg curl machine, 12 reps. Then I calf raises, 12 reps. I guess it was 4 exercises for the legs. And I take about a 2-minute break and do it again, and I do 4 sets. I really got your legs, calves burned out.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even like doing legs, but you definitely had huge legs. A long story short, wants to know if you ever had wrestling opportunities in Japan.
Oh, yeah. I went over my first tour was in '84, and I worked for New Japan, and I'd always wrestle. I think the main event for the United States. I always ended up with Antonio Inoki, and that's who wrestled. I think it was Muhammad Ali in the '70s, the good senior. But you'd always end up getting beat. And a quick story on Antonio Inoki. He gave me a belly back suplex in front of I don't know how many thousands of people. But I didn't hear what he called, so I never go with anything. I think he probably would do the same here. You tell me. But he called I didn't understand what he was saying. He spoke good English. But what he wanted to do was a belly back suplex on me, through the gut. So I was standing in front of him, he had his arms around my stomach, and calling it, he pulled me back to the belly back suplex, and I sat down on him because I didn't know what he was doing. And all my weight landed on his face. And it splattered his nose. And so he lay there, and he was pretty much knocked out. And I could have just pinned him if I wanted to. And the referee, Peter Takahashi, was telling me, I faked him out like I was going to pin him. And he goes, no, don't. That's that thing. So I grabbed his leg, I was going to pin him, and he was already out. So, of course, I didn't do it. And he got his bearing back in the locker room. He come charging over and said, what the hell am I doing? And I said, listen, man, I got to understand what you're calling before you do anything with me in the ring. So I'm not going to jeopardize my health. You got to make it clear to me. So we got on okay, but that's just one. In Japan, now you've wrestled in Japan many times, haven't you?
I have not. I've never been over there.
Man, I thought you was over there many times. I didn't know.
No, man. My grandparents, both of my grandfathers, helped us destroy the Japanese back in World War II. So I think they hold a grudge against me.
Well, that's my dad was in World War II. Yeah, it's just that in Japan, there's a lot of guys like you can't really understand what they're saying. So you have to, in the American style, you have to know what's going on before you do a spot. So you can get hurt really bad. Hashimoto, and I got into it over there back in the locker room. He was one of the bigger, tougher Japanese guys. He went at it pretty good. And, but he hurt me pretty bad in the ring. After it's all said and done, we shook hands. But the thing is, in Japan, you got to understand the spots. If you don't, you can get hurt. It's just, I wrestled in Japan several times. I don't know how many times. I think at least 10. And the last one, 85, is when Bruiser Brody in 1985 switched over from All Japan to New Japan. And I knew Brody real well from different institutions.
Someone wants to know if you have any memories of Miss Elizabeth.
Well, I happened to be watching your show and one of your interviews, and I heard the Henry Console tell you that Randy liked me a lot and let me ride with him. He was extremely, protective of Elizabeth, and rightly so. And so I got to know Lou Oakland. I got to know with Randy, and Mrs. Elizabeth obviously was one of the sweethearts of the game, played her role as a manager to almost perfection. And Randy just liked me to be around. And Randy as well, great, just a fantastic guy. I keep saying this, but I'm just telling you the truth. You haven't hit a sore spot with me yet with guys that I don't like or didn't get along with. But I definitely got along with Elizabeth, Randy, Lanny. We grew together a lot, several times. Great woman.
Someone's wondering if you still own any of your wrestling gear or hats, and would you ever sell them?
You know, one thing I did that didn't make a lot of sense, but I gave my stuff away. I just more or less gave it away. I had enough of the wrestling business, and it did me well. And, I gave it to people that really wanted it, like my WrestleMania jacket and hats, trunks, boots. People that really wanted it. I didn't see making any profit on eBay or anything like that. I just gave my stuff away. Sounds kind of foolish, but that's what I did.
You couldn't have predicted the live auctions and stuff now that everyone makes so much money off of. Matthew wants to know, what was your reaction when you heard about Bruiser Brody's death?
Well, I wasn't surprised whatsoever. I got a lot more insight to death than probably anybody in wrestling. But it's something that is not going to come out until I'm right now working on a autobiography, and I'm kind of spinning my wheels right now, and I haven't worked on it for the last month. I have a problem in my family that I'm trying to trying to help. So I figure in about maybe 9 months to be ready to go. And Brody and I were close, really close, but come distant. And he died on July 6th. There's a reason for that. Vince was terrified of it, by the way. He told me, and I firmly believe this, is that Vince had promised him a position, didn't fulfill it. He did not like Vince at all. I think threatened Vince, and Vince took it serious. I believe that he was murdered over there. There's no question about it. It was probably a paid contract. I really don't want to touch it any more than that until autobiography comes out, and then everybody will be able to see what went on.
Frank wants to know, did WWF tell you to stop using the full Nelson as a finisher at some point?
You don't know that. I don't remember that ever being told to me. But I got to a point at the end where I was basically spinning my wheels, and the injuries kind of took their toll. The grand opening of my gym was going to be my retirement. And Vince called me up the day before 2 days before the grand opening, and Hulk Hogan was going to be there, and he was there. And there was 14,000 people that showed up. It was the largest grand opening in the history of Oregon. And but Vince called me and said that Hogan's not coming down. That he works for me, and Vince. I said that I was already $250,000 or more into the gym. So if he didn't come, I would have lost all that money plus the gym was just so flat on the stage. And I told Vince, or asked Vince what he wanted. If he's got to be there. He said, no, he's not going to come. So I talked to Hulk myself, and we worked something out between us that you'll find out also in the autobiography. Some will find it funny, some will find it serious, very serious. But that's the truth of it. He finally did. I got to give him a lot of credit. He showed up. I didn't know if he was going to or not. He was people had camped out overnight for the game. So thank God he showed up.
Sheldon would like to know, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food?
Yes.
In the morning, when I was on the steroids, I was probably the only wrestler in the world that was always held underweight. They called me 245. That's the same weight as Roddy. Yes, Roddy and I used to laugh about it because I was about 285, 290. But I was always called 245. And we were both from Oregon. And but the food-wise, in the morning, I don't touch eggs. I eat grain with fruit, grain.
Yeah.
A lot of grain. A lot of grain. Lunch is usually potato soup with an avocado. For supper, fruit. I'm a fruit vegetable guy. I don't eat much meat. Can't say I don't, but I eat a little bit of chicken, but that's about it. I've maintained my weight now at about 220. I lost a lot of weight, but I feel a lot better, Hannibal.
Matthew wants to know if you ever wrestled Roddy Piper, who also lived in Oregon and wrestled the Oregon territory, and you brought him up before.
No, Roddy and Roddy was always a baby face in Oregon, and also one of the guys that helped me a tremendous amount when I first broke in. And Roddy and I always tagged up together at the beginning. And then Roddy was already a superstar when I broke in. He was wrestling all over the world. And when we finally hooked up in the WWF, he was really happy for me. And, Roddy, as you'll see in my autobiography, his death is very questionable, same as China. And anything I have a question on, will be answered in that. And I'm not going to pull any punches at all.
Well,
I don't got my palms in the shirt, and actually, a lot of people thought I'd be taken out. What happened 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But I just tell it the way it is, man. They want to take me out, they can take me out. I'm not done with nobody.
The thing with Roddy, though, he did die of heart issues, and you probably know, like a lot of people say, he was one of the biggest cocaine users, and that, of course, affects your blood circulation. So he lived into his 50s, I think, which isn't bad for a guy that did the amounts of cocaine that he was rumored to have done. You probably know more about that than me. But I know he had a competition one night of who could drink and do the most drugs with Purple Haze, and Piper won apparently.
Well, that's Roddy. Roddy was Roddy, and that movie that he came out is called Day Live. I can honestly say I've watched that at least 10 times. And I think he did such a superb acting job in it. His agent was the same agent that I believe Cindy Lauper had. Roddy took it and rolled with it. As far as the cocaine use, there was some in there, but he didn't use it to a point to where it would have killed him at age 60. I think he was only 60 or 61.
Yeah, and I don't know if he was still. Actually, some people say he was still doing that up until the later years. What's his name? There was a guy from Survivor, Johnny Fairplay. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he was another. He's a bit of a partier, and he was saying when he was helping Piper on his book tour towards the end, that surprisingly Piper was still using stuff. I guess, yeah, you're right. He was 61 when he passed. But
yeah, I can remember the day. It was July 31st, 2015.
yeah, people. It made him and Macho Man made pretty much worldwide news when they passed.
Well, like I say, Hannibal, when my autobiography comes out, when you read it, it'll all make sense to everybody, and you'll see that everything I say will be absolutely 100% true. And you'll be able to look it up for yourself. It's all pretty much documented anyway, but I actually lived it. You know, my mother and uncle were murdered when I was 15, 5 weeks apart. And there's a lot of things that people don't know in their personal life. And I never shared it. Maybe a little bit, but just a little tease the last time I talked with you and some other outfits. But you were by far the best. I mean, I'm not kissing your ass or anything like that. I have always told you that they should have used you as top talent. I don't know why they didn't. It's the politics of the game. Roddy was careful. And,
well, if it was today's, if Roddy and Ric Flair and a lot of these characters, even Macho Man, were around today, I don't even think they would make it today because of how political wrestling is and of how corporate wrestling is with the antics that some of these guys had outside the ring, even the Jake Robertses and Andre the Giant with all of his drunken escapades. I don't think they would have lasted too long.
the business has changed that much, huh?
It's the corporate era. There's it's very corporate. Matt R would like to know, who is your favorite female wrestler of all time?
Who I thought was the best female wrestler?
Yes.
God, I had to think there were so many. The women, they don't get the credit they deserve in my opinion. Because they are so tough. And, in my era, I think if I'd have to say in my era, I'd say like Leilani Kai and Debbie Combs. Debbie Combs I thought was really underrated. And he is one tough female wrestler, Debbie Combs. So,
Matthew says, in your opinion, which wrestler deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame that isn't? You're one that definitely deserves to be in there.
To be honest with you, again, I don't think I don't care about that. It doesn't matter to me because it's all political. You can put Arnold Schwarzenegger in there. He got one WrestleMania match, I think. It's that also become very political because Arnold was the governor of California. But I think that I think Butch Reed should have been in. I think Butch had a lot of talent. He played pro football. I don't know if it was because of his skin color. I don't know. Probably was with Vince. I don't know. Is there any?
Might be the concussion lawsuit. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right about it. Could be that. But I just thought that he was a tremendous athlete. That's one. Is Ken Patera in?
No. And speaking of which, someone asked earlier if you have any Ken Patera stories. He did. I don't know if you saw it, but he did say in the last interview that he likes you, and you just misunderstood him before. But he says he likes you.
Oh yeah, Ken and I are both from Portland. Ken went to Cleveland High School here in Portland, the same school that Phil Knight went to, the owner of Nike, who used slave labor to build his empire on, which I wasn't too happy about. And I'll go deep into him the autobiography. But yeah, Kenny and I think Ken Patera and his entire family are the greatest athletes ever. It's all his brothers played in the NFL. And Jack Patera coached the Seattle Seahawks for, I believe, about 8 years. And Jim Zorn was playing quarterback. So Kenny comes from a tremendous athletic background, first man to bench military press 500 pounds. So I think if Patera is not in there, then they shouldn't have a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, Patera talks very, very openly about everything. He doesn't hold back. That's why he's one of the fans' favorite guests to have him on my channel. But maybe that's why, because he's not politically correct at all. Another guy that would never have made it today. But someone else is asking, what's your favorite book that you've ever read? You've mentioned a few times today about books.
There's one book that I liked. It was 1959. It was called The Magic of Thinking Big by Dr. David Schwartz. It's a book. It's a motivational book. And, I believe it's where if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Quotes like that are in that book. And, a lot of it came true when I made it out into the world for myself to see the politics, so forth, happen right before my eyes, and that I was a piece of. And I believe that's the greatest book I ever read. Other than that, I can't say I remember reading anything else. I've read that book about 5 times, maybe 6, 7.
There's another fan question on here from Daniel. He wants to know how you got along with Gorilla Monsoon, and do you have any memories to share about him?
Oh, absolutely. Gorilla Monsoon, for a big man, his heart is even bigger. His son, I believe he adopted, was referee Joey Marilla back in the WWF when I was there, and he was killed in a car wreck. I don't know if you remember that, Hannibal.
Yes, I do.
But Joey was just a smaller guy, but perfect for a referee. Just like the 2 twin brothers that refereed, and he lost one last year. But yeah, he was killed in a car wreck, and Gorilla was just absolutely crushed by that. But he was his whole life. I don't want to, really try and read his mind, but I know what it's like to lose somebody close to you. He had to deal with that all the way to his death. I really felt for him.
Someone wants to know what Andre the Giant was like backstage, and how did you react after finding out he passed away?
Andre the Giant passed away, I believe it was in 1993. It was the same year my father passed away. My dad was, even though diabetes, I was blind, but had raised me. He wasn't my biological father, but he made what he was. He was everything to me. Didn't matter if he was my blood or not. He raised me, and he went through hell on earth. He's a master welder. And, he went blind. I stayed there with him. I had to. He had nobody, and me and him were just super close. And Andre done a remarkable thing for my dad. They're similar to Stan Stasiak and Rip Oliver. When he was in Portland, he wrestled on Saturday night, and I believe it was during a triple tag match with Andre, Playboy Buddy Rose, and myself against, I think, Rip Oliver and the Clan. And after the match, my dad was there, and got to meet Andre, and Andre really liked my dad. And I asked if he would like to go to dinner. He went with my dad and I'll never forget that. I always got on good with Andre, and he was always self-conscious of how big he was because everybody always stared at him. You can imagine that. Everybody constantly staring at you. But that was the experience I had with Andre. He was big, but his heart was just big.
There's a bunch of people on here that want to know about some Marty Jannetty incident. Did you have some incident with Marty Jannetty? And I was supposed to interview Marty this weekend, actually, but he no-showed the guy that was bringing him in for a virtual, so it's going to be delayed. But I do like Marty overall.
I have never had a problem with Marty Jannetty ever. I know his partner, taking partner, Shawn Michaels, his very first match ever on YouTube. He was with me in Dallas. On Eric. That was in '85. That's when I found out Eddie Graham died, and I left the territory ASAP. There was a reason why I left. Eddie and I were real close in a number of ways. And but I wrestled Shawn Michaels there, and he did like a 30-second job for me. But look what he turned out to be. He turned out to be one hell of a wrestler. And I'm sure he got a lot of money put away because Vince loved him. Unfortunately, he loved him in more ways than one. But,
yeah, we've heard a lot of rumors about that.
But, to go further into it, that may be true, but he turned out to be a great talent. And you got to give the guy credit.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been a lot of bisexual and gay people in the wrestling business. I'm not saying Shawn is, but there's certainly the hearsay about him and Patterson and McMahon out there. Last question for tonight, because I know it's getting late, and we'll have you on again anytime. But someone wants to know about Matt Borne. Do you have any Matt Borne stories? Another guy who really made a name for himself in Portland.
Well, I really do. Matt also was from Oregon and in Portland. And I got to give kudos to Matt. Matt was another guy that helped me out a great deal, saw what I was doing wrong in the ring, would take me back in the locker room and tell me what I was doing wrong in the ring. He would actually show me. You don't let your pride get in the way, and you listen to guys that really want to help you. You learn a lot faster. And Matt was one of those guys to me. Helped me a great deal. He used to come into the bar that I worked at when I was dealing. And before I got into pro wrestling, there was 3 bars that I dealt in. And Matt would come to, was called the Stone Pony. It was a well-known bar for drugs. And Matt and I met there along with Dizzy Hogan, who turned into Bruiser Brody. Most of the guys went there after the wrestling show. And Matt got into a fight there with somebody.
Didn't he fight Brian Blair at one point? But maybe that was Mid-South.
Yeah, he did. In fact, Brian Blair actually beat the living dog shit out of him. I don't know what happened, but I heard from it's like I think when my fight with Mike Sharp, you heard several different people give several different versions who weren't there. And the one person that was there, I think, was just me and Mike. There was a whole locker room full of guys, and King Kong Bundy was one of them that was there. But it's just, once again, Mike, after it was all said and done, Mike went to Vince and said that he did start the fight. And he manned up. We shook hands. He was done. That's just the way it should be always. And Matt, he's a tough guy. He's an All-American, not All-American, but pretty much state champion or runner-up in high school wrestling. And you had to know Matt to get along with him. I got to know him. He had that doink the clown gimmick. A lot of guys laughed at him, but I seen one of his paychecks one time. He showed it to me. And it was $19,000 for a week. So I don't see anybody laughing at that. So,
he was the best doink for sure. He got that character over.
You think Doink the Clown would last in today's day and age?
No. And Matt Borne wouldn't have had a job either because he was too controversial.
Yeah, he did speak his mind, and he was a pretty physical guy. I want to make a quick comment before I go about my ex-wife, Jeannie Clark.
Sure.
To kind of set the record straight, because there's a lot of people that don't understand the situation. And just look at it this way. I married her first, and the Wikipedia is wrong. We got married in 1983. And we were coming in February 9th, 1983, we got married. She was born out with Chris Adams, who unfortunately was shot in a bar in Dallas, Texas, 2001, and killed. And back in 83, Chris was beating up on her, getting drunk and beating up Jeannie. And I seen her I was coming back from Salem, Oregon, after a show, and I seen her walking in the pouring down rain and cold. I gave her a ride home. I let her stay at my place. There was no sexual anything. I wasn't out after sex. No, she was one beautiful woman. And so Chris Adams went to Japan, and she was going to be kicked out of the country. So we talked about getting married so she could have a visa to stay in the state of the United States. So we got married. And when Chris Adams came back, of course, she wasn't too happy about it. But he was beating her up pretty good. I did give her a good lump sum of money, and she left and went back to England. We stayed married, and we went over beat on down the road. We did in Florida, and we decided to go our separate ways, but she was a U.S. citizen. Then she met Stone Cold Steve Austin in Texas. But when she met Stone Cold, they did it off really good. They got married. And, what I'm getting to, I'm just going by what she told me, is that Stone Cold got very physical with her on many occasions. I talked to her before her book came out through the shattered glass. And she told me that. That doesn't make any difference to me. I was offended by that. And I went after Steve to see if he wanted to fight UFC rules. He didn't want to. I don't like men hitting on women, especially my ex-wife. She's a very beautiful woman. But she said that Stone Cold never said that. My answer to you is this. Look, Stone Cold, they looked him up. He's worth $40 million. They have kids together. And, I don't have, I used to be worth about 8, 10 something million at one time. But if he's got all this money, he's going to back him because he's giving her money. And I don't got nothing to give her. And that's all I'm saying for my defense of that. Because it got spun around a little bit that, I may not have been telling the truth. But I'm just going by what she told me, and I responded to it. He's got the money, and I'm sure he's taking good care of her. If she says anything against Stone Cold, he's not going to get that money. So that's where that's at. He always treated me good. I always had a good time with Steve, and I didn't know about that side to him. But I'm very proud that he made it as far as he did. He made it big, 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 big.
And they still used him in WrestleMania this year, and he had a match as well. But for whatever reason, they didn't advertise it before. But it didn't make me want to watch WrestleMania, even knowing he was going to be on it. I just have so little interest in wrestling these days, as I know you do too. But are you accepting bookings? I've been getting a lot of questions from people who might want to book you for stuff. Are you accepting bookings?
At this time, I'm not. I've got a person that's in my family that's extremely not doing too good, and trying to right now help as much as I can. And my heart, my soul, and everything is. I'm into that right now, and I'm not doing any bookings at this time anyway, and not because I don't want to. It's just that
you're taking care of someone, so you don't want to be away.
Yes, that's it, Hannibal, and I don't want anybody to think I'm coming down on Stone Cold either. I'm not a jealous person. When people make it in this business, it's hard to make it. And when you make it, I'm proud for anybody. I've always told you this. You know what? I think you're one of the greatest talents that they never pushed. Why? Maybe. What do you think the reason is why they never pushed you?
I honestly don't know, and I honestly don't think about it. I'm happy being the number one shoot interviewer. I think that, and I keep going into other sectors of interviews as well and producing other types of videos. So I'm happy with my domain, not having to leave my house and working for myself. I would have liked to have made the millions of dollars, but I'm content with how everything is. So I thank you for hopping on again, and I do appreciate you saying that.
You bet, Hannibal. I want to thank all the wrestling fans for the great questions. And I'm always going to be a big fan of yours, Hannibal. And you're right, you do have the number one ever. No one's ever going to surpass you. Millions and millions and millions of.
Yeah, I got over 200 million views now, going on to 300 million, and that's why I got a lot of haters, because people like to take shots at number one, but that's just a fact. I do have more subscribers than Jim Cornette, and I do have the highest viewed shoot interviews on the internet. Those are both facts. You guys can look them up. And Billy Jack, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for staying in contact with me and your kind words. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up for tonight?
No, I just want to always thank you. And I'm so proud of you, man, that you made it so big. And I will always love the professional wrestling fans, especially the old school back in the 80s. God bless everybody, okay?
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos,